Hi Libra, thank you very much for being here. So, okay, we have a fifth house Saturn. All right, so that's when you really need to go there and know why. So, like, sometimes it's like going to the waters, it's like going to a shrink or a therapist. It's like walking into that door, starting that adventure, and you need to go where you know you want to be. So that's something that sometimes is not easy for you. So with the Saturn in Capricorn, we already had a sense of space, or we had already a sense of peace or a self. And on some level, also with this fourth house Saturn transit for us all, Libras, there's got to be a very, very nice, calm knowing of the type of space you want, the type of human you like in your house, the types of people that you enjoy, and the types of things that you just love the most. Maybe it is beautiful scenery, maybe it is a beautiful street where you know every shop, maybe it is a beautiful human that really enjoys your work, or just someone that really likes your heart. You know, like there is like a very nice simplification of things, and sometimes it could be just in one face, or just one place, one building, or just one humble home that you can find the most. But the thing here is that this is not the best. And this is not bad, but the thing is that we need to walk out of this and into the next. So sometimes it's not just about comfort and closure. Sometimes it's not about having a yes man or yes woman next to you. You know, sometimes it is not really about having a humble, normal life. On some level, it's more about the greatest things to come. And some of the times, Libra, when everybody else is scrambling around, Libra cannot be bothered and will not get anything done. And that's when your mood board comes to mind, maybe your Instagram or Tumblr, or just however you conceive yourself, maybe through unconscious posting on social media, like what would you like to do? Um, the thing here is that you might not want to do many things because you can probably understand that the next set of events or the next stage of your life might be a little bit too big for you, and that's when Libra yawns. So maybe you have to now claim that presence. Maybe you have to talk about something a lot. Maybe you now have to walk into the door. Maybe this is a very weird, very, very weird time to like pack a bag and start traveling the world. This is a very interesting time to walk away from that which you've gathered, which you've come to know, and you just come to see. And like it's interesting, you might have a really great neighbor, a really nice boy, or like just a really nice home, and you might just have your favorite socks on, or your favorite dishes in the cupboard, or you just, it might feel very obvious about your parents, very easy here, or just like not really sure about who they are, but kind of, you know, getting along. There's kind of a nice natural sort of chunky real sort of find, maybe just like a really relevant, homely, or even I would say easy going, down to earth thing for some of us. And for those that don't really feel it, please enjoy. The last couple of months might have ushered you into your home or have shown you the domestic field, or things that have now become domesticated, or it could have been that in the last home or the last house you felt the most purity or importance, or it could have been that you found the community or the country that you enjoy, and it could also be that you don't want to accept or appreciate your own energy or your essence if you don't want to just relax and not stress. If you are stressed out, Libra, by November 2019, if you were, and you have not found the counterpart, the partner, or the perfect person, or somebody to love, or something to do, if you haven't found it, and if you haven't figured it out, and if you haven't realized it, and you haven't really understood anything, and maybe that's who you are. Maybe that's who you are. And there's nothing wrong. So sometimes it'll be like a stray animal at your house that you finally got in or got rid of. Okay. Perhaps it is like a metaphor of that. You know, maybe there is like someone else that you're waiting for, wanting, while your partner's right next to you. You have someone really, really born for you, like really beautiful for you. Maybe you have many people walk through your house, but none of them stay at the same time as you're online talking to the one. So that's already like a metaphor. Maybe that's how you perceive yourself. Perhaps that is how you see your future and your culture and your heritage, because fourth house is also a house of history and relevance. So maybe you don't really have enough in yourself, or maybe you haven't built it, but because it's here, that's great. There is something great, and you don't have to right now stress unless you are like in super strong need of something, of therapy. If you do not have a place to sit, place to stand. If you by now are super stressed out Libra, like your room is tiny, you don't have any bedding, you don't have anyone with you, you are afraid of the person next door, next to you, like you don't have anybody happy with you, or you have like nothing that can help you. Like if there is something very aggressive and there is something very disloyal and you feel absolute hate, there's something there for you. Still, there is something there for you. There is something there for you. Maybe there's a picture of a picture. Maybe this person reminds you of a relative. Maybe this is how your ancestors have lived, at least for some time. Maybe it's like a picture of your family line 400 years ago, or maybe something like that. There just needs to be an okayness. So, like in the last month and a half, so, since we're in March now. So, starting with the beginning of Feb, or like late Jan, you know what I mean? It's like where you've lived, where you've been, how you are, like what you've entertained yourself with, the simple people around you. Just please know that this isn't something that you have to speak of or do all the time, but there is a definite relevance or a presence. Okay. And then, like, it's up to us now how we go, but it feels to me that there is a lack of control. There is something else calling your name. Okay. There could be that really beautiful guy. Okay. There could be that super beautiful person. There could be suddenly a need to change countries. There could be a sudden change of the heart. Sudden, completely sudden. And you don't even know how. There could be somebody or something just worried sick about you, or is open for you and just doesn't know how to say it now. Or they are saying it now. There could be lots of us waiting for you on the other side of the story, or another side of time. And there can also be lots of worthwhile things, whichever way you go, and you have to go now. I gotta go there. Why? I don't know. That's really, really precious. But the way that you are is important. If you are walking out of your previous state with a feeling of shame or a feeling of fear, there's going to be a road of shame and fear, or fear. And there has to be a very nice, perhaps stagnant way in which you communicate with yourself in order to ask yourself, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? Okay, so children also. A child is probably important right now for some people with Libra aspects. Maybe making children, or being between children, or being part of a cycle with mother and child. It is very lucky for us here, for Libra people, to create life, but we have to make sure that we know that we want it. There's got to be maybe a lot of kids on the mind, or there could be a child in the picture, or a child in your life, or a unique person who is still, however old they are, a child. And also it feels to me that the precious child that you are, and the way that you're growing out of your previous skin, is very, very lucky here and now. So if you wanted to wake up and play the drum like you did when you were 3 years old, like make noise, love yourself, like love life. So this kind of like weird glee, like this childish energy, is very good right about now. And Funk Soul Brother. And also one of the greatest things about Libras is that during the first degree of Saturn, in Aquarius, like during this first part, you might not already like who you are, because based on you already knowing that you need to get out. So like that's kind of like maybe happening here, like I'm kind of watching it happen, and that's something that sometimes happens overnight. It could be like overnight. It's like conception, and it could be like a miracle, say. You've been walking with these people, everybody's fine, and then all of a sudden you need to catch that flight, or like all of a sudden you have this big dream and you got to like pack your bag and just run off somewhere. And there's also something else there as well in the mix, because it feels to me that nobody else might be lucky enough to support you or know who you are. Nobody. Unless you got like grandparents or parents or support mechanisms like that. It's just sometimes with this type of Saturn, nobody might be lovely enough or open enough to fully fulfill you. And always, yeah, there's going to be somebody who can mirror you, who can kind of like hook into your field and kind of understand. But there's going to be like perhaps time and time again throughout the first part of this transit, 2020 especially, you might be falling on deaf ears. You might have absolutely nobody there to support you. Sometimes it'll be like there's no money in the bank, but you're with the love of your life, something like that. Or you have nobody to help you somewhere, but you've built yourself a castle. Or like you're very unique and you're very influential, or you're like a person of influence, and at the same time, only one person really knows you exist. But say your work is anonymous, or you have all these amazing, beautiful things and styles, but you have no place to really put them. Like, say, you've written a million songs, but not anyone really knows they exist, or you don't have maybe a marketer yet. So this is a very fragile stuff. At the same time, there is like this feeling, this sound, or this thought, or this song, or this frequency that just like breathes you into greatness. Either way, you know what I mean? So it's like I might have no money, but I have a beautiful house and a lovely person. I'm so happy. Or like I might not have anybody, but I have mastered an instrument that I can play back to front. There's like a very, very cool thing like that. Or like I might not have any place in the world I can really stay, but the whole world knows my name. So there is something like that for us, and it's got to be okay that it's also with a little bit of shame and skepticism. Very easy here to get kicked out of a house. It's very easy to hear other people talk really badly about you. It's very easy to see other older, more established poets or artists or practitioners be absolutely appalled by who you are and what you're doing. It's very easy to have people think of you really negatively. It's very easy here to have other people corrupt you. It's very easy to have another person even abuse or dishearten you. And the main thing here is not to make any more symbol out of it, so not make it into any kind of symbolic tale. It feels to me that the main part of this worthwhile pursuit is that you are like this, and you just done it, and you're just making it, and you make it, you're just doing it, and it's like the global voice is starting to slowly come through you. Voices, so singing, channeling, talking to yourself, also like being that unconscious dancer, this unconscious life creator even, and having absolutely no dream at the same time. So some people might say paint 1,000 paintings and not know how to apply them. Some of us may not want to do anything with another person at the same time. There's all of this stuff there. There's like a whole studio. It's like you can just take anything you want and apply it, but we don't want to. But we like go to the streets and we graffiti something on the wall here. I mean, this is like very youthful stuff. I think that the main part of it also with love, matters of the heart, everything like that, you have to know why you are here. And I think sometimes it is beyond where things keep. You know what I mean? Because much of this you can't keep. you know so like most of the stuff, like for example, you write a book and then you don't publish it, something something something, or you pretend you do, you have all these feelings. You have like a few girlfriends during this time, kind of 5 or 6 people during this time in your heart and really not in your mind. There's something there also, I think, in terms of being betrayed or being betrayable or betraying or something. It's just like a star frequency. It's just like, and sometimes it's not in the mind, and on some level, till 2023, you won't even freaking know what it actually could have or should have been. And it just lands next to you, like a bird. you know. So the thing here is that we sometimes have this color book of life, or we have this just workbook. You know, it's like, my gosh, you know, it's like if you're an artist, you just like have a few pages and you just fill them up with things, and it's not really about anybody benefiting from it in the end, and it's not really about making yourself necessarily a name that you could have done that already maybe. It's like trial and error, cause and effect. It's making a fool of yourself, doing like doodles everywhere, making fun, fooling around, falling in love super deep, or just being a part of it all. And in the end, it doesn't quite change. But before it gets to about 2021, you might have absolutely no idea. You might be so super arrogant and super fresh and super free. You'll just do everything at the same time. So it's like, I want to dance, I want to sculpt, I want to make love with this person and that person the next day, and I want to do this, 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 and this. So it's like the heart, like the horror for some people to watch a Libra do this is immense. It's like you can leave your husband, you can leave your home. Here you can make a complete fool of yourself. And one of the greatest things that I believe like I've ever done during like a path like this, like in my past, truly, is to know who you are and just let everything else slide. So it's like, sure, I can paint 7 pictures, but at the same time, I'm going to be home by myself. And at the end of the day, I'm okay. I know where I'm from. I know who my father and mother are. I know where I belong. I know which way it's been for me so far, and I know which way it's going to go. So, like, having some kind of closure and some kind of past is a huge therapy. But it also feels to me that most of us don't really know that. And we're all Instagram, like, we're all Facebook, you know, we're all trying to like turn the world, and the world is not going to be turned up or down. By 2023 it can. So you're not kind of like, in a sense, you on a level, you might be a little bit arrogant, erratic, or uncomfortable for people here. You've got a lot of like shell to crack as well. If you have a big shell, you know, and then suddenly all of a sudden you're like running away from home and doing crazy things. And it has to be sometimes just like a copious amount of sex, or like some very fun ride or something, to like make it an okay kind of dream. And sometimes this is where Libra can take drugs. This is where Libra can make fun of people left, right, and center. This is where people become very uncomfortable about the scheme of your life, and nobody really may notice it at first. But by the end of 2020, I think people are going to start to tell you, like, look, is this really your worth? Like, is this really like what you're turning your past into? Is this the way that you're reflecting us all into the future? Is this how you're going to manifest your joy? Is this really truly who you are? And sometimes Libra will laugh and laugh. And 2023 year, I believe, is when Saturn is at the last degrees of Aquarius. It will not be that much issue, but try to see, are you hurt? Because some of the time, if you establish and you deliberately create more than enough, and you go into this absolute wilderness of your hopes and dreams, you may not quite want to see it right now. But in 2023, you got to ask, is that where I thought it would all land? Because by 2023's end, you can't change anything. So that's the thing. So it's like, play the game, and it's all got its worth. And some of it is impermanent, some of it is just coloring book stuff, you know, some of it is just like a party and a half. And then sometimes, like, women especially feel really vulnerable if it really hurts. You know, like, we rough and tumble, and we, you know, run away with a couple of people, and we do all these things, and we travel around. We can really pretend to play all these different characters. Does it hurt to be that person? By 2022, you might already want to see which way your creativity and your heart has taken you. But by the end of 2022, you might already have a security within you that is beyond the ordinary. So there is something of a cycle of crisis that can happen, and that can help you, and that can help develop you as a completely perhaps neurologically advanced person in comparison to where you are now. But it just feels to me that the wilderness of this adventure might cost a time when it never changes. So if you by 2022 creating huge momentum, for example, partying and drugs, by a certain age, it can never change, or it will always have an imprint on your physical, psychic bodies and celestial bodies. And it can be really hard. I mean, already might seem very difficult to step out of certain patterns and certain addictions and certain ideas as it is. So I'm just wondering if you are exploring life at this really full spectrum already now, perhaps, um, maybe perhaps consider the full respect and worth of your past. And as you age or as you change during this 3-year cycle, do you really want to create a continuum of these certain trends, causes, and effects that you are creating now and modeling for other people now also? Because by 2024, you might start to see that it is going to sink into all of us, and your party or your sense of significance or your sense of the ordinary and the mystical that you're developing during this particular time might rub off on you, and then everyone else also benefits or somehow quantifies. So it would be really nice to see you come to fruition, and it would be also really, really nice to understand why and how you are making, marketing, creating, or even conceiving, birthing the brand new vibe, and what more do you really wish to experiment with or experience maybe before 2022, so that when you are in that full juice and that full blooded, like open-hearted state as Saturn is developing your heart, do you really truly want to believe that into fruition for the rest of your life, and how you're going to make it all work? So thank you very much. Enjoy and become. Bye.